Looks very hard.
Looks very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
A lot of words.
Yeah. Kijep. Wabong. Wijibokwe. Yeah. We're going to Odenong. Like wow, Chikijep Wabong. Chikijep is when they say that word you should know that word when they say Nogijep. So you should know that that's Chikijep is very no, it's a separate word because Gijep is one word and Chikijep is early morning. Chikijep.
Yeah, I was thinking like very good morning.
Yeah. It could be a very good morning. Yeah. Chikijep means early morning. Wabong is tomorrow. Wabong. Once you learn to put the N in front of the we, jibokwe, I am going to do something. Jibokwe is make breakfast. We jibokwe. The word jibokwe comes from the ceremony. And when we cook something, every time we cook something, we put an offering in the fire for the spirits. Jiboy. The Jiboy is the spirits, the people in journey. So that's why that we use the word Jibokwe. Yeah.
The fan music is little hard, right?
What?
Fan.
The fan? Oh yeah. A little bit hard.
Sorry.
That's the air conditioner. One of those things for my playhouse. Danong. Danong is a town. But the Odenong comes from the word Ode. Ode is your heart. Odenong is where everybody goes to meet from the heart.
I was just listening to something on CBC where they were talking about this very same word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Odenong.
Well, it was the heart part.
Oh, the heart part. Yeah. Yeah. It's Ode. Ode is your heart. So they call it Odenong. That's where you go for your heart to meet people and to enjoy visiting and so forth. Anytime you see an N in front of the we is Nui. I'm going to do something. Nui. Yeah.
Yes, because last week the N in front meant that you owned the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word the gija, givisne, gijibakwe means he did that. He already did that, but he did. Gijibakwe, yeah. A certain person. Gijibakwe, yeah.
We already did, right?
We jibakwe means they're going to cook. We jibakwe. If there's more than one person cooking, the plural would be on the cooking part. Jibakwe. We jibakwe. We jibakwe. They are going to cook. Then on we bajab. We bajaben is the first the original word is ja. We baja. We bajaben means that there's more than one person going. We bajaben. Ni minawa nukumus. Me and my grandma. me, and also my grandma.
Means and?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kiskanan, Abdek, Ubi, Ishknaduna, Ishknaduna, Wigishnaduna, we. You're going to say the word we, but then you could correct yourself. So it's almost like you're saying we, Ishknaduna, we. It's you're pausing on the W. We, meaning she is going to do that. We. Ishknaduna. That old lady. See, you called her grandma at first, and now you called her old lady. If she's a little lady and she's old up in age, and you have an endearment towards her, you call her demoyens. Meanwhile, neen is always me. Neen. Meanwhile, also me. We have not even geskud. We da wabandan. Me this we be kiwayam. We're just going to look for hooks, and if we find them, we're going to come home. We're going to come home anyway, even if we don't find them. These sometimes I have the more participants there is in a group, the easier it is to teach, because everybody almost teaches for you. The smaller your group, the harder time it is to try to teach. So a lot of times, like in my groups, when I do anger resolution and anger management, things like that, I like to have at least 20 people in my group. It's a lot easier participation, and the participation is greater. The emotion is greater. The laughter is more. Everything it doubles, triples when and then you. Most other elders, they say, "Don't interrupt the elder." I always say, "Interrupt the elder." Interrupt the elder. Get him going. That's where all the learning is. Interrupt the elder. Yeah, what do you mean by this? Argue with the elder. Everybody say, "Yo, no, you don't argue with the elder." Oh no. Me, I say, interrupt the elder. Either heckle the elder if you have to, but get in there. At times, the more participation there is, the more questions there are, and if someone is doubting you, then your program gets doubled. It gets even more interesting because people are putting their hearts into it. People are putting their knowledge into that. Because when you finish teaching someone, they're supposed to be pretty well better teachers than you after a while. So that is the way you learn the most, is when you teach. So that's why I do groups inside prison, and when you're doing groups inside prison, the people say it's almost impossible. And people walk out, people slam the doors, all kinds. But I learned how to do groups and everything through Anishinaabe. I did groups in my language first. I did all my groups in language, and in my language, there's no rules. There's no rules. You only when you bring in programming and everything like that, you put up your house rules. They call them house rules, and that's when it bottles up everybody. Puts a muffler on your face. when you're doing a group and you're doing a group in the Anishinaabe way with right brain, everybody jumps in there. You learn about three times more because the person and the two that are disagreeing on something, they are the people that become the teachers and so forth. So a lot of times, sometimes you're lucky you'll have about three people. They say, well, why do you say this? And how come you say it this way? How come you said it over here the other day and now you're saying it this way here? And so you're teaching. Every time they learn something, they're learning that. They said, like me, if there's a big group, I'll even make mistakes on purpose. And then somebody will say, well, how come? The moment that comes up and say, okay, here we go. Somebody's going to learn lots. And in prison, the most you can do is 10 people at a time in group. I had such good participation that I was allowed to have sometimes 26 in my group, 26 people. And anger management, you have to know what you're doing. Doing anger management with guys in prison. And so you have to pretty well depend on your bundle and depend on you smudge everybody down to begin with, and you leave the program totally in the hands of the people that are there. The only reason they allowed me to do my program developed by me was because there was an Asian teacher, an Asian professor, and also there was a student that was going for her master's degree, Asian people, and they said that I said that this program is not going to work the way it's written down. It will never work the way you guys are trying to work it. And they said, well, how come? And I said, because I said there's all kinds of rules that are not our rules. They are not our rules, and they are not. You're walking on other people's steps, feet here. You're stepping on other people. You can't do this. I said, you're inside a prison, and you're asking people to fill out forms. You're asking people very personal questions in your forms when you're screening somebody. You've already decided you can't trust these people. Because look at this, you got all these questions. How can you run a group like that? Not me, you would be able to do it because all I would give you is BS. You're inside a prison. So the Henry Lamb, his name was Henry Lamb. Henry Lamb, he was a psychometrist, very, very knowledgeable. And he says, no, he says, you want your program inside and you know what you're doing, you develop the program. So, okay, here we go. The people that have been colonized, the Anishinaabe people that have been colonized, they turn around and say, well, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way. You can't do it this way, you can't do it that way. They had totally been colonized. The only people that were on my back were Henry Lamb and Lynn. Her name was Lynn. Lynn Wah. Anyway, she was going for her master's. I was her supervisor for her program. So she came right into the program. And so within three months, she had enough information to be able to go and contest her masters or whatever they do over there. She had her papers after. But there was a rigid, especially inside a prison, they have to be very, very careful. I knew that you don't ask, you don't paraphrase, especially if there's Native people in your group, you don't paraphrase Native people. You can't turn around and say, well, I heard you say, what? That's something like that, especially inside of prison with people. Some of the people got big tattoos on them, and they hit the table sometime, and the whole room shakes. You know, you got you got to know what you're doing. Oh my God! So that's what happened. That's how I had to change my whole system of presenting and everything. That's where I learned.
It's a great lessons learned as well.
Oh yeah, it was just. I work with. There was 5 Vietnamese in my group.
Oh.
Oh yeah, 5 Vietnamese in my group, and they told me off. Oh my goodness, did they ever jump and told me off? They said, Lorney, maybe it's going to be good in your country on your first nice little reservation there. He said, but why don't you come home with us? I said, well, I'd love to do that. And they said, well, he said, you know, neat. Anyway, okay, does anybody want to try to read this? Anyone? You got one there? You might be able to. If you want.
Which one?
Anyone, either one. The first one or second one. They're 2 different sentences. Okay.
I'll try the first one. So, Gijep, Wabong, Ibakwe, Odinang, Nui, Bazamin, Nikisnan, Abdek, Wigis, Gijep, Nadunan, I don't know how to say that out. And Doi,
Yeah.
yeah. Me and one in where Binabi, Kisknan, Nwinda, Wabman, be Kiweriana. Okay, okay.
Yeah. No. We Kiwayong is then we'll come home.
Oh no, like I mean like I just
Biskana?
Jibakwe. Wow.
Oh yeah, Jibokwe. In the morning they're gonna Jibokwe. But in the meantime we're gonna go and get some fishing stuff and go fishing. And then we're going to also look around for some fish hooks with the baiting fish hooks.
Mm.
Bob, for things like that.
Yeah.
It's good. Viskanan is just there's little hooks like that.
Yeah.
I saved the second one for you, Susan.
Okay. Gigdo, Iwakun Shing, Nagi Bigunik, Nadanis, we Nanak, Widi and Dizzy, No Kid, we Iba, we be Naba, Ma, and Dad.
Yes, that's really good. That is really, really good. Kikitupio, of course, is a cell phone, any kind of phone. Kikitupio, of course. Kikidu is when you talk, Kikidu. Pio, of course, is a piece of steel, piece of iron. There's a little bit of iron on that of course. And we also have a very spiritual connection to a cell phone because every time we use a cell phone, it reminds us that the keeper of the fire is the non-native person, and it's the non-native person that invented the cell phone. Yeah.
Or it was Rogers, and they didn't do it very well.
No, they didn't. They made a few little shortcuts. Yeah. Gigdobiwa Mosingi the Canonic. Gigdobiwa Mosingi the Canonic Daughters. My daughter called me over the phone We not with the engine, okay, to go and pick her up where she works. We've been and dot is where she lives. We ba is he sleeps. He's gonna come home early to sleep. I guess she's gonna go fishing too next morning. So you're gonna go to bed early. Yeah. Any questions on that? Any remarks?
Can you explain again what the parts of the word are that make it into a cell phone?
The first word is gigidu. Gigidu. Gigidu is to talk.
Yep.
Biwak is gigidu biwak is gigidu biwabik. Biwabik is the iron that you speak into.
Okay.
Gigido means talk. The talking a piece of steel, piece of iron. Ganonik is she called me. Donis is my daughter. Could be my daughter or my niece.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah. No, Ganonik is Gigido. Gigido is the other one. Gigido. Gigido. See, I'm using Gigido and Ganonik. There's two words that have to do with talking. So somebody that learns the language a little bit more, they will say, well, how come you say Gigido over here, then here you say she called me, and you say Ganonik. How come you do that? And that's a very good question, because then you're learning about when somebody gets we can own go in. You get to learn. Gigido is the person talking. Ganonik is talking to you. And dot is where you live. Well, how come you don't say we guam in deja, or how come you say Andot? And they say Andot is where they live. Andot. Wigwam is the house where they live. You live in Andot, wigwamming Andot. Susan had a little hard time because she's not used to the word uyiba. Uyiba means early. Uyiba. When are you going to get here? Oh, Yiba. When did you get to work yesterday? Oh, Yiba. Okay. Giwe. There's the word giwe, and this first sentence, the word last word is giwe, and giwe yong. Giwe is going, and yong is us went home. Giwe. Giwe would be one person. Giwe would be one person. Giwe. When there's more than one or more than two, it's giwe yong. Giwe yong, it makes it plural.
So we iba is early, as in I'm going to go to bed early.
Yeah.
And then gisep is early morning.
Chigijep. Yeah, Chigijep is early morning.
Okay.
You would say Uyiba Winba Chigijep update week. I have to go to bed early because I have to get up in the morning early. Lorney Bob. I'm going to wake up early in the morning. That is how my grandmother taught me about being on time. You see, my grandfather was a fur trapper. He worked in a trap line way back in the bush. And that's where we went when I was about 2 years old. Lived at a trapping cabin, and my grandpa was a trapper. All winter we went there. So the important thing when you're a trapper way out in the bush is being on time. And if you say you're going to be somewhere, you have to be there. Because in the wintertime, way out in the bush, being on time or miscommunication can get you into a lot of trouble. So you have to be on time, and you have to be there when you say you're going to be there. So it was pretty neat for me because I learned how to be always on time. And when I went to work on my First Nation, when I was at Bank Council of my First Nation and worked on the reserve, I had to teach everyone how to be on time. Because we had a saying on my reserve. Everybody come in, laugh, and, I'm on Indian time. And that's great if that's great if you're going to work on the reserve. Yeah, but sometimes you're going to have to work off reserve. If you're going to work off reserve, you pretty well have to be on time. If you're going to go to education, you should be on time. And it's not so much the rules. It's not the rules that bother you. It's a subliminal. It's a subliminal. If you're always late and everything like that, people start to. It's in your head, people's head. You start to have a negative information, and so I've always tried to be on time because I got a lot of respect for myself, so I have to be on time. And I've always had a pretty good job. And most of the time, the reason I have a job and a good job is because I know how to work, I know how to be on time, I know how to be there every day. And of course, quite a few times, I got hired simply because of that. Especially in my line of work, because I have the ability to have people work. I've run businesses, I've run companies where people said, "Well, you're a native, you can't work. Don't call that company after yourself because people don't like Indians." I always think, well, maybe 15% don't like Indians, but 85% they're going to like Indians. And once they've gotten a taste of what I can do and the business that I run, everybody will like Indians. Not a bad person. Because my grandparents, they raised me to be a good person. I was raised that if you're asked 10 things a day, every one of us is asked at least 10 things a day. You have a choice to be kind or to be unkind. And every day you're given 10 times, you're given a chance to be kind or unkind. And so being raised the way I was, I've always had the choice. I'm going to be kind. And it's worked pretty good. So I'm 70 going on 75. I've never had a problem in my job, never had a problem working. I've never had a problem having people work for me. When it used to be payday, on paydays, I had a construction company. So on paydays, around dinner time, we would all meet at the Silver Bullet in Sudbury. Silver Bullet has the best, at that time, the best hamburger and fries. So that's where I would take the guys. I would treat them to a nice dinner. And we'd sit out in the picnic tables, and then I would pass out the checks. And then, when I should show up for work, because I had to do paperwork and everything like that, I would trust my crew to be there for 8 o'clock to start working. They'd be there for 8 o'clock to start working. 10 o'clock, coffee break, I would show up. I would have coffee for everybody and donuts. And you figure out how much it cost, but you figure out how much it paid me to do that. The guys that I had, they did the best work you can get. Like I got contracts all over the place. Hey, we want you because let the work you got a really good people working for you. Come and do what I need to do. Sometimes the guys show up and you say, well, why don't we just take a shortcut? Like, why don't we just do this and never mind the taping? I said, we can't do that. Taping is going to crack. If it's going to crack, the wall's going to crack. If you do, you have to do it over again. So you do it over again, do a good job. If you do something bad, the news travels really fast. Because right now, like I'm working for somebody now part time. Always, I've taught them. I stay when I stay at the motel. They rate me as a 5+, 5-star, because I'm mindful. Again, kindness or unkindness. Long ways with that. So, like I teach that because there was a really kind man that taught me a lot of those things. Neat. I've had a lot of fun. Yeah, and you can't ask questions the way you can out here. You can't ask those questions inside a prison. You gotta be able to encourage people to go where other people are scared to go. Like, when I say, "Come on, yeah, I'm going to come and listen to. I'm going to come and listen to you do your program, Lauren." And I say, "Yeah, come on, yeah, that's great. Come on, come and heckle me," because that's where the learning is. If I was a comedian, I'd hire somebody to heckle me. Yeah. Other people are terrified of that. You have to love it. You have to love it. Pretty neat. And so in teaching is the best place where you use all this. You see how fast you can get somebody to learn certain things. Like, language teachers have been around for 38 years. A lot of kids have gone to language classes on my reserve. There is not one that can speak a language, an ongoing conversation on my reserve. And I was one of the teachers early. That's where I started. I tried to teach the language the way they taught me to teach it. There's no way that they can learn that. I had to go out, and they want me to teach here, and they wanted me to teach on my reserve. So I said, okay, I got to go and learn how to do this. I got to learn how to teach this. It's not the same as math. It's not the same as science. It's not the same as any of the other programs. It's not the same as the sports. You have to learn. You have to know that people have to acquire the language. It's easier to acquire the language than it is to learn it. So you have people like me. I've learned 3 languages now, no problem. It's not hard to learn a language. You got to be somewhere.
Yeah, I have an appointment with physiotherapist.
Oh yeah, Yeah, good. Don't be late. Yeah, yeah.
Once I even doing something. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Have you tried languages before, Susan?
Have I tried languages?
Yeah.
A little bit, yes. Well, I worked at Laurentian, so I had to try French. In fact, when I was hired at Laurentian, the program I was hired to teach was taught only in French. And so I had to take a big nosedive and say, all right, it's been 20 years since I spoke a word of French in grade 13. I have to figure out how to teach my courses in French. That went on all right. I've played around a little bit with Germanic languages like German, Dutch, Icelandic, the Scandinavian languages, but only picking out at words that I recognize and I hear a lot and try and figure out what might they mean. Like this one's a little bit funny. In Norway, I was with a friend and everywhere we drove, either on the road or in the water, it said fart. And I finally said to her, okay, so why are they telling us to fart? And she says, oh, that word means speed. It's the speed of the road or the speed in the water that you're supposed to obey. So I said, okay, I got to keep that one in my mind, but it's stuck in my mind because it was sort of a little bit funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably always remember it now. It's just got that part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You speak Cree?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. So like when I was pronouncing the words, kind of some of it went back to that. Because it's like they're somewhat similar, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. But we don't use a lot of G's. It's more like K's.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So difference there.
Yeah, I've seen some of the writing. I don't know, it wouldn't be too hard to learn.
Yeah. My mom thinks languages are shaped by your environments.
Yeah, it is. It is. She's right. It is. Yeah. Yeah, because at one time in the village of Hila, they say we all spoke the same language.
Mm.
It's about 10,000 years ago. We all spoke the same language. But then we split up. You know, we went we went to the bushes. Some people went to the Arctic. Some people went to the desert. The Apache went to the desert. Some people went to the jungle, and some people went to the mountains. So there's echoes in the mountains, so your voice starts to change like that. There's high winds along the shores, the water, so your language changes and so forth. So at one time we all spoke the same language. Yeah. So all the way through to Hawaii, I've heard Ojibwe being spoken, and I've understood it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the there's a lot of same language. I don't know about Australia. I think they have a different language.
I've heard of some Japanese that sounds similar.
Yeah.
Like, and then when tourists came, they said they understood some of what we were talking about. Like what? I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think Cree language is meant to project over because it's all flatlands, right? So it's meant to project over flatlands, and then Ojibwe is more like because there's more mountains and streams and water here, so it's meant to like project through that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But she is right, your mother, because that is your language. The words that you learn are the names of the trees in your territory and the name of the finished, when you knock down the tree, it's a different way of saying the tree.
Mm.
So